Here are 3 reasons why I'm still buying Polkadot's native token called DOT. Reason number 1 is because I believe that it has, hypothetically, a lot of room to grow. Now, here's the thing. If DOT were to go to the price of $150 during this bull run, that right there is actually around a 27x from here. Now, some people may think that's trash, and even though nothing I say is financial advice nor a guarantee, the way I take a look at it is that anything over a 10x really is very impressive. Now, some people out there, they want to look for a 500x, a 1000x, and that's totally their choice. But if, for instance, I were to put $1,000 into DOT right now, and again, if let's say you were to go to the price of $150, at that point, that $1,000 could potentially or hypothetically become 27. Now, that's pretty impressive in my opinion. Again, is it going to be the best potential upside out there? No, but it doesn't matter because a lot of projects out there, let's say like a micro cap, right? Sure, they could do like a 500x, a 1000x. We just never know. But then the risk is so high. It's relatively unproven, hasn't been quote unquote like battle tested yet. So we don't really know if there's ever going to be attention towards that project. And we don't really know the leadership in some cases, right? So of course, that's very risky. Even though it could do well, I'm not going to dabble with that. But at the same time, I don't want to dabble with dinosaurs. I don't want to dabble with like an Ethereum, a Bitcoin, a Solana, a BNB, even though they could still do okay during this bull run. I'm not saying they're going to do bad, but I don't think they can do, let's say, over a 20x from the point where they are in as of right now. I think that's totally another question. They could do okay, but I don't think they could do great. And of course, great is better than okay. So that's why I really like Polkadot's native token called DOT, because it's this happy medium in between. It's not a dinosaur where it's absolutely too massive, but at the same time, it's not this micro cap that feels a little bit dangerous, at least personally for me. It's a little bit too much risk for my appetite, but then the other giants, they're too much dinosaur for my appetite. You know what I mean? I don't like to do that type of stuff. So when it comes to DOT, again, it's really a no-brainer pick for me. And for the people who may argue, okay, $150 is just too insane. Well, I completely disagree. You got to take into consideration how, at that price, considering current circulating supply, market cap would be around $28 billion. Let's say for simplicity's sake, that's around $230 billion. But even besides that point, that's still over $300 billion less than Ethereum's all-time high market cap. And come on, right? When Ethereum reached this back in 2021, actually the bullish factors are not as great as they are right now. Like, for instance, back then, there was only around 300 million crypto owners. Now, there's pretty much double. There's now over 600 million crypto owners, according to Crypto.com research. That's more than ever before in history. I think this bull run could be a lot better in terms of the FOMO, buying pressure, and buying volume, and we're seeing a glimpse of it as of right now in a sense, but I think better days are ahead. So when it comes to DOT, again, at the price of $150, it doesn't seem all that outlandish to me. And also on top of that, when I consider the factors for this bull run and just how much better Polkadot is than something like Ethereum, yeah, I just don't see why not. Now, granted, am I saying that Ethereum is completely caca? No, but I'm just using this as a point of reference because, again, we've seen Ethereum reach this high. So again, DOT reaching like way less than that, let's say during a fully fledged bull run this time around with very bullish factors, I just don't see why not. And for the people who are wondering, okay, you say all this, but what are the fundamentals of Polkadot? It must be caca. And I disagree with that. And this actually brings me to my second point, which is the second reason why I'm still buying DOT. And that is because I believe that Polkadot is very special. After all, Polkadot aims to connect blockchains together. It's focused on interoperability. Now, what do I mean by this? There's many blockchains out there, many networks, as we all know, but many of them lack the ability to freely interact with one another, meaning that they can't freely send data and value to each other. And keep in mind, there's more blockchains that are going to pop up in the future. So, of course, this is a very ongoing problem, and it could even be a bigger problem moving forward. Now, there needs to be a superhero to save the day, and that is, for instance, something like Polkadot. Because you take a look at Polkadot, again, they're aiming to connect blockchains together, they're focused on interoperability. A very famous example of some caca nonsense like this is, by the way, Ethereum and Bitcoin. They're both very massive. We all know that, right? But then they can't freely send data and value to each other, meaning that, of course, this is a very caca situation. You take a look at Polkadot. Through that, this issue is pretty much gone. That's how amazing it is. Now, here's the thing. If we put a real-life example to this, it could seem like even more shocking. Because if, let's say, I'm using an iPhone, and then I can't call my friend who's using like a Samsung just because, he's using a Samsung and we're using a different phone brand. wouldn't that be terrible? I mean, that'd be crazy, right? That'd be like, whoa, what the? Everyone pretty much uses an iPhone, but I'm saying still, if let's say there's a case like that, that would be a no bueno in my opinion. So if you think about it, again, interoperability is a major issue if that were to exist, let's say in real life. That of course doesn't exist, but I think you get what I mean there. In the world of blockchain technology, because everything is just still really up and coming, the space hasn't really matured yet, of course, there's going to be these type of issues, and of course, Polkadot does step in and save the day, so I really do like that. Now, some people also like to say that Polkadot is a little bit too caca. They think it's a little bit too boring, it's a little bit too plain, but here's the thing. Polkadot actually has something that's supporting it in a sense. Because you take a look at how when it comes to Polkadot, there's something called the Kusama network. The way you take a look at it is that, again, it's kind of like the support system to Polkadot. It's like the Robin to Polkadot's Batman, if that makes sense. Now, what do I mean by a canary network and what do I mean by support system? So basically, here's the thing. Projects that wish to launch on Polkadot, they will usually launch on Kusama first, where they will, test the project under real economic conditions, and then after it's good to go, so to speak, they usually move on later to Polkadot. Now, you may be wondering, okay, why would a project do this and not jump straight head on to Polkadot? Because first of all, it's far easier to make changes on Kusama when compared to Polkadot. And second of all, it's far cheaper to rent building space as well. So the way you take a look at Kusama, it's basically like test driving a car. You know what I mean? You go to a dealership, you want to buy a car, usually you test drive it. If you like it, then you buy it, lease it, whatever the case may be. So when it comes to this case, it's kind of like that. It's kind of like the test drive. Just kind of think about it like a gym trial, right? Like a free trial to the gym. So this is what I really like about it, because it does attract more talent, in my opinion, because if let's say a developer, let's say he's a genius or she's a genius, and then, they don't really have the financial resources to jump head on to Polkadot, it's fine. They can go to Kusama first, test it out, and if they like it, maybe they can get more support and later move on to Polkadot. So that's really amazing. That really does give Polkadot more better things, I would say, because, again, if there's something like Kusama attracting good talent, that's really going to benefit Polkadot moving forward. But there is a caveat here, because a project, it's not forced to move on to Polkadot later on. It's not like there's this one person saying, yeah, you got to move on to Polkadot after. No, that's not the case. Because, for instance, you take a look at how there's something called Moonriver that is on Kusama. By the way, I'm very bullish on Moonriver. But even besides that point, I made many videos on it. But here's the thing, that's on Kusama, right? So if you take a look at it, again, not everything has to move on to Polkadot, but still it's a good addition in my opinion. So I really like that. And here's the thing, Polkadot is not a project that's going to be gone, after a couple cycles. No, that's not the case, because as we all know, again, there's going to be more and more blockchains that are going to pop up. A lot of them are going to need interoperability, because of course without that, that'd be kind of complete caca. So Polkadot is aiming to solve problems right now, but they're also going to be solving problems in the future, which is why, again, I don't think it's going to disappear when the hyper fans are gone. So I really like that when it comes to Polkadot, and I think it really has a bright future. So with all that being said, are the fundamentals bad? No, I don't think so. I think it's very amazing in my opinion. Now, the third and final reason why I'm still buying DOT is because I believe that a high tide raises all ships, meaning that if a bull run is amazing, which I do believe this one could very well be, again, like I mentioned earlier on the video, over 600 million crypto owners, the Bitcoin ETF, the Ethereum ETF, the number of institutional investors, the amount of enterprise adoption, especially with the trajectory of Bitcoin where it's heading as of right now, I think this bull run could be so fantastic. Imagine once Bitcoin goes to the price of $150,000 and maybe even beyond, and people, they get bored. They start taking profits. They start flowing that into altcoins, much like DOT. $150 at that point, I just don't see why not. Now, it's going to take some time, though. It's not going to happen like tomorrow or something like that, because, typically it does take some time. But I think around 6 months to a year from right now, we could very well see a very different story. It's just a waiting game at this point. I get it. It's a little bit boring. But what am I going to do in the meantime? Dollar cost averaging. Anytime an income, I'm acquiring, I'm holding, and I'm just waiting. That's it, because I've been acquiring DOT ever since 2021. So it's been quite a while now. But I still haven't sold anything. So I'm still waiting anyways. And that's why I believe in its future. And at the price of $150 during this bull run, that right there wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. And that is 3 reasons why I'm still buying DOT. I believe in its future. I like the hypothetical room for growth, and I really love the fundamentals. And I can't wait for the peak of this bull run. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I greatly appreciate it. It's Mooney the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm a peace. Bye.